My name's Chris.
And I'm so relaxed, it's not funny. Oh, I think my name's Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and this is a special Kristiemas celebration edition.
Woo! It's been a week of awesomeness and chillaxing and food. I'm so glad to be back where there's like bread and carbs. I thought it'd be meat that I'd miss at somewhere that just says vegetarian. But it was bread.
It was the carbs from the bread.
It was the carbs. I'm like, oh, can't do without my bread.
So first of all, a very special thank you again last night to Robert and Elena for doing that podcast.
Woo-hoo, well
Kristie hasn't got to listen to that one yet.
No, I haven't. But you see how awesome I am when you need like a MasterChef winner
and a Bake-Off contestant
to fill in for me.
We had to replace you with quality. So we have to replace you with quality. But thank you to them. And again, please go listen to our recap of that. It was a brilliant chat about food, and it's a really fun little episode.
I'm really looking forward to it. I couldn't listen to it on my way back because I was worried for spoilers.
Yeah, you didn't want spoilers. And there was very little mention of felching.
I'm disappointed. I don't know if I'm going to listen now. I leave for one day and suddenly no one's mentioning felching. Like, what has this podcast come to?
Exactly. It was very reputable and serious. I mean,
God. Next you'll be telling me actually recap the fucking episode.
About that. So let's get into this because this is going to be a long one. We need to get your... Now, first of all, just before the episode last night, and I didn't get to read these out, I got a message sent to me.
Yes, you did, because I got some cell phone reception.
So this is Kristie put forward her predictions without knowing a thing about the episode as to what she thought the episode was going to have.
Yes. Okay. All right.
So this is the message that I got just before the recording last night.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Prediction. Claire and Dave do the Bertuzzi in celebration of a perfectly baked fruit flan. No Bertuzzi, there was Nutbush though, so I was close.
You were near.
I was near.
No fruit flan.
No fruit flan, but there was an apple, whatever the fuck that was.
And what Dave had
and
what Dave had in his stack would sort of count because he had watermelon and he had raspberry. Look, you can sort of count it. It's not too far off.
A fruit crepe flan.
It's closer than a lot of your other predictions.
They could have done a clafouzi, like instead of a clafouti.
Now, the funny part is that is much closer than most of your other predictions were, but let's go into them.
All right, so my other prediction is... Maggie refuses to let the bakers use her dragon hoard of butter for the showstopper until she receives a perfectly baked technical, and so everyone has to keep baking and presenting their goods to the gingham altar until a champion emerges. Probably... and she deems the butter can run free. I'm like, it's probably Chris or Claudia, Barb or Robert at an outside chance. Now... I did mention Barb at an outside chance, and she did bring the goods to the gingham altar.
And Claudia did bring that at the end, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Did bring her one at the end, which seemed to release them all from the shed. So you actually weren't that far off again.
No. And I did see a hoard. Like, there was so much Devondale stuff. Like, I was wondering if there was any fucking room in the fridge. Like, someone's gone to put their batter to sit in the fridge for the waffles. And all I saw was, like, Devondale. It's like, surely Maggie should have that all in her hoard.
Hashtag, you ought to be congratulated. So, it was an interesting episode. What we didn't focus on last night, we did focus on the quality of the, I'm going to say cooking, because I'm controversial like that and still don't believe this was baking. But be that as it may.
Yes.
I did put up a tweet last night on the Washing Up account where I made myself some pancakes and I commented, look, I've baked myself some pancakes, in brackets, let's all pretend, people.
That's what I consider baking.
It is
they
close enough.
They obviously went, well, what would Kristie do?
Well, Elena put forward last night that it was about the way she tried to sell and she wasn't even sure on it, was that the waffle batter was sort of, the chemistry was baking, and so that sort of could count a little bit.
And it's covered over, maybe. It's a waffle iron, though, so...
Yeah, we'll go with it anyway.
Close enough.
So I put that out there last night and retweeted the photo of the pancakes. So we did actually recap food. What we didn't recap, however, was innuendos.
It was on,
and
like
the
a
amount
Donkey Kong.
And the amount of waffle innuendo there was, the potential, the things that batter. I mean, the things that batter to people. It's incredible the way that went. That first challenge. First of all, everyone was brilliant.
Oh, I would happily have eaten all of those waffles, and I would have.
At once,
because at the retreat, no waffles.
No waffles.
It's some really good food, don't get me wrong. Billabong Retreat, if you're looking for a good weekend away or whatever, great. But just don't expect waffles. Lots of quinoa and stuff, no waffles.
Watching this episode was really funny because it was just like Kristie sitting there going, "Oh, I could have that."
Yes.
Oh, I can have that too.
And then as soon as I saw Chris come up and he's there with the chicken, like, oh, he's doing fried chicken waffles, isn't he? And then the genius move of putting the bacon in the batter and then the corn waffles. Oh, my God.
No, I didn't get to ask this last night, so
yeah.
I'll ask you if you could make any type of waffles. Because mine, as you know, I love a good potato waffle.
You do.
I like a
good potato
really nice sort of potato hash style waffle with bacon in them, Chris, just so you know. What would you do? Any flavour?
All right, any flavour. Right. Let's go with something with just a plain, simple but crispy, like perfectly made waffle, right? Then what you want is some, like, 3 different kinds of ice cream. So you want chocolate ice cream, and you want strawberry ice cream, and you want vanilla ice cream.
So you want Neapolitan?
Yeah, I want Neapolitan. And actually, no, fuck, just plain vanilla ice cream, right?
Yep.
Melted chocolate. Like melted chocolate. Milk chocolate, fuck your dark, fuck your white. Like, white chocolate's not chocolate. It's white. And then fresh strawberries. And I'm happy. That's it.
Now, here's a question, because I thought about this last night, actually. Would you have just covered the waffles in the chocolate, or would you have, what I would have done, I would have made something a bit like a choc top. I would have made the waffle and then something like an Ice Magic, dunk the waffle and let the Ice Magic set over the top of it, so it's a chocolate encased waffle.
Maybe half, like a Maxibon.
Like a Maxibon. The Maxibon of waffles.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've got an episode title. The Maxibon of waffles. So I was intrigued as well about the ratio of sweet and savoury.
Yes.
Again, I prefer the savoury, and Paul Robert last night was outnumbered. Kristie would have been able to help you out there, Robert.
Yeah, I prefer sweet. However, would have eaten them all.
Would have eaten all of them.
I'm an equal opportunity list for waffles.
And it was interesting because, we got to waffle on a little bit about the waffles.
Oh, there wasn't enough of that on the telly, was there?
There wasn't enough waffling on. But
No.
what we did come to in the second challenge was balls.
Perfectly symmetrical balls.
Now, you missed this, but Elena last night on the podcast called in her art teacher background to comment on the idea that you didn't need to say symmetrical balls because a ball is automatically symmetrical.
But it's not as funny or smutty.
Exactly. And we said that maybe Matt Miranda had sort of been queued up by the producers of, you know what this is, come on, Matt.
But you have to understand.
Give us your balls, Matt. Give us your balls.
In nature, and he wanted apple balls, in nature, balls just aren't symmetrical. Like they come in all shapes and sizes. And you really shouldn't be ashamed of what balls you have. If you have an apple ball that's not like one large apple ball and one small apple ball, or if you choose not to have apple balls, you want mango balls, like just enjoy the balls you have.
As Claire said, it's about, sometimes you grab them on the top, sometimes you grab them on the bottom. Maybe up at the top, then at the bottom, and then sort of just move that around a little bit, reach under, it'll be good.
Yeah. Poor old Mr. Ballsack. Sorry, that was for the Get This fans.
That's a Get This reference. So if you never listen to Get This, you're not.
Or if you're a fan of Zoo Magazine.
Or if you're a fan of Zoo Magazine and Crystal from Big Brother. Either of those two things, then you got that joke.
You are guffawing in the aisles going, oh, they pulled that one out. I didn't think they'd go there, but then bam, second encore.
So it was an interesting idea, the clafouti. It does sound, as Chris alluded to, like something that needed to be cleared up with a cream.
Yeah, or, you're going to touch my clafouti.
Or it sounds like the topical cream that you would use to get rid of the infection. They've all got weird names. What are you using to treat that? Oh, I've got clafouti. I've got to use it like twice a day on the topical area.
Let's go to the pharmacy tomorrow and ask for clafouti.
We're all going to say, we want some clafouti.
I just want to see what they do.
One of us goes to the doctor and says, I think I've got clafouti. The other one goes to the chemist and asks for clafouti. And we see what the closest answer we get from both of them are.
It'll probably be like, do you want the brand or do you want the generic?
Do you want the generic brand clafouti? Which is almost what the apple was, because as was pointed out by Matt Moran, it's actually made with cherries. And Elena is the only person I know who has actually made it before.
Oh.
And she said that she normally makes the cherry one, not the apple one.
Well, cherries weren't in season when that was filmed. Cherries are as we know, in Sydney, the first box of cherries gets auctioned off, and that's usually beginning of summer, isn't it? Because it's stone fruit.
And as we know, this episode was filmed 14 years ago, so it's been a while.
Before there were winters and summers.
Before there were seasons. so unfortunately, cherries weren't available at that point.
Before Demeter went looking for Persephone. Before the whatever that planet was that hit the Earth and created the rotation, the tilting of the axis is. I don't know, David what's-his-facey, that English scientist does a great show on it.
Oh, yes.
Called...
Something.
So
that's what it's called, something.
Brian Cox, that's the scientist.
David someone.
David someone.
Brian Cox.
Look,
She's relaxed. She's relaxed. Dave and Brian, you too. And you've heard the podcast a few times. She does refer to Dave occasionally accidentally as Brian. And now she's called Brian Cox David.
My brain just equates those two together for some reason.
I look forward to you writing your book, Beating Lysdexia. So my big question I asked about the clafouti,
yes,
apart from how do you contract it, was the raisin puree. What was the purpose of raisin puree? To remind you it could be worse?
It's possibly to give a visual of the clafouti. Like, that's possibly what clafouti looks like when you catch it.
What are the symptoms of clafouti? Well, what happens is it's like custody in appearance, and there's like raised bumps.
Yeah, just like you've mushed up raisins and whacked them in.
I felt really bad.
Area.
I felt really bad for Paul Robert, who was trying to sort of advise everybody on when to take it out, having himself no clue as to when to take it out.
And I've yelled at the TV screen, "Your balls are too pale, Robert. Put it back in. They're not done yet."
My favourite line, and I mentioned this last night, was when Marcus was talking about it being French, and he goes, "I should wear a beret and a moustache, but it's hard to get a curly moustache." And can we just again... And I talked about
look like he should be one of the little characters on Guess Who if he did that.
Does he have a weird moustache? Yes. Is it Marcus? That would be perfect.
Don't Bake Off Guess Who.
Well, we've got a new round of the drinking game coming next week because we had a whole new range of things pop up.
Yeah.
So we're going to do another one of those. We might have to do Bake Off Guess Who. We'll work that out. If you've got a suggestion, please feel free. Drop us a line on the Twitter at The Washing Up. We'd really like to hear from you. I personally, and I raised it last night and was not shouted down but was corrected, I thought it just looked like a custard, not a batter. And the way that we described it last night was it looked a bit like a creme brulee.
I don't know. You had the experts on last night, so
I went with them.
To them.
I went with them.
My only disappointment is that it's batter week. Where's your fucking Dagwood dogs?
Where was your Dagwood dog? I mean, Chris raised a whole pile of really interesting ideas.
Yeah.
Where were your potato scallops?
Well, Chris did the fried chicken. We could have done the fried chicken.
He could have done that. I mean, you could have done a mountain
Mars bar, fried Mars bar,
deep fried Mars bars.
Make your own Mars bar.
Make your own chocolate bar and deep fry it. They could have called it the Scottish Challenge. It could have just been challenge for Scotland. Deep fry something.
Challenge for Scotland sound like you're raising funds for Scotland.
You're raising funds from people suffering from heart conditions because they're eating deep fried Mars bars.
No, just because they're Scottish. Think of the Scottish when you come to challenge Scotland. These people are living with Scottishness.
As someone with a very Scottish last name, I'm fine with that. My favourite Scottish battered invention, by the way, and
Buchanan is a very...
And they mentioned it on QI, is the deep fried pork sausage kebab.
What the... No!
Yeah. So what they do is they take a pork sausage, right? They cook that.
Yeah.
They then put it inside a doner kebab. So the meat, everything, the sauce, the wrap, the works, they batter it.
No.
And then they deep fry it. It's called a stoner.
Oh.
Even I, as cavalier as I can be with some foods, I'm not touching that.
Think of the lettuce. What are you doing to the hummus in there?
Oh, yeah, the tabboulih's not responding.
The parsley's just going, what the fuck, and probably just disintegrates in the oil.
Lettuce is going, that's supposed to be treated like this.
Just water. Surely that'd cause fires then.
It would. You'd think so. Only who can prevent fires? Only Chris can prevent fires, apparently. So, yes. Apple's all popped up and happy to see you.
What did I say? Why is it so funny? Barb and Chris are just having a giggle. Everyone's having a giggle. Matt Moran comes back with it's all about presentation.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, Maggie. It's all about presentation.
Finally, it's only taken 3 seasons, but Matt has realised he can throw in a little innuendo.
Throw the shot in there.
Beautiful.
The crepe cake.
Ooh, I like crepe.
You like crepe?
Oh my gosh. One of my favourite places, I know you're not a big fan of it, but the Doughbox Diner in Newtown, right? Mm. I mean, the Doughbox Diner in
miscellaneous city area
in Australia. And they used to call out like what you were getting, and they used to have this crepe called the Goddess. I don't think they have it anymore, but it was like pieces of Mars bar and banana and chocolate and strawberries. I don't fucking know. It was like ambrosia. Anyway, the first time I had it, the guy came out, he's going, a goddess? I'm looking for a goddess. And I'm like, I'm here. It was just brilliant. So
I'm over here.
Yeah.
So of the crepe cakes, which was your favourite?
Oh, okay.
By the way, just what you think of that, I loved the teamwork again this week, especially with like everyone at the end helping. So you had with Barb's one, you had Claudia around there, you had Chris there. Obviously, everyone was sort of pitching in.
I loved Barb's because like it's not only crepes, but it also looked like that moment from The Shining when the elevator goes open and all the blood comes running out. So it's like this beautiful thing with like a bit of horror on the top.
I thought it was a Violet Beauregard moment with all the blueberries.
Oh, that was gorgeous. I love that. And I didn't know that about blueberries having different tastes for different strains. I just thought it was just, I got a tart one and I got a sweet one. Anyway, I liked Robert's friend Jellicoe. Could have drowned in that. Oh, but Dave's with the watermelon slices.
That was a really cool idea.
Kind of like the mango pancakes that you get at miscellaneous cities yum cha.
Which we talked about the idea of, because we're both absolute bandits for a good mango pancake.
Demons for it.
I have actually rejected other yum chas because they didn't do mango pancakes or they were horrible.
My family started to doubt their existence because, like, friends of mine back in the early days, in the early millennia, took me to chats. I mean, miscellaneous yum cha in the north of a city, and they're like, "Oh, you got to try these mango pancakes." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like shit." I was expecting like an actual pancake with mangoes, and I'm like, "Ooh, whoop-de-doo." No, revolutionised my life. And then every day I'm like taking my family to Yum Cha whenever I could, going, there's mango pancakes, you have to. And everywhere I couldn't find them. And now they're bloody everywhere. So it's good. Except when you get shitty ones.
Yeah, exactly. And I have said I've struck places off the list because of it. I would have made a mango pancake one. That would have been my cake. It would have been a mango pancake cake.
Absolutely. Claude's look quite nice, but I love the Frangelico.
Yeah.
I don't care if Maggie Beer thinks that's basic. It's got fucking booze in it, Maggie.
It's got booze in it, and again, he iced it. He iced it
to look like a cake.
It looked like a cake. I thought that was great. I loved Barb's. I thought Claudia's looked amazing too. Mm-hmm. Now, I think Marcus was the right call to go home. Unfortunately, it looked, as I said, it looked delicious. It looked like something you whip up in the kitchen. It looked like something you would whip up at the kitchen at about 11 o'clock at night.
It looks like what Uncle Buck made with the snow shovel.
But it really does look like what at 11 o'clock at night when you're really hungry and you want to make crepes and you've got a bucket of Nutella.
Chocolate on there.
And you've got a bucket of Nutella.
Yeah.
It looked like something that you would have made at 11 o'clock at night, which was delicious and awesome, but probably not a showstopper.
Yeah.
So I understood that. It made sense. Starbaker. Now before you... Okay. So I said last night, I can see both sides of it, and I thought it should have been Barb, but I could see that now...
Hashtag justice for Barb.
Hashtag justice for Barb.
It's like she was just fucking dragged into a swimming pool and devoured by a creature from the other dimension.
And what the important point about this is...
Oh, sorry, spoilers there for Stranger Things.
And now, the important point there is not that Claudia did anything. On the contrary. No. Claudia's Black Forest cake was amazing.
Oh, I would have drowned in that.
The only question I had about the judging on that was...
6th in technical.
Yeah, 6th in the technical out of 7.
And
Barb was first. And they said when at the end of it, Maggie went, Barb came in at first and she's just ploughed on ahead. And then they gave it to Claudia. I don't care how good the Black Forest cake was. It should have been Barb.
Yeah. Yeah. Barb's robbed. It's like, I don't know, whatever sporting thing that Australia would have won, except for some bullshit. I'm presuming soccer.
Oh, well, actually, we do have one of those.
Was it the Italians?
It was the Italians taking the dive in the World Cup.
I learnt about that because of the chaser, with them going into the Italian embassy.
It's good to see you learning important things through the chaser. So we just wanted to give you basically our quick recap. The good news is Barb gets to come back in and do it all over again next week.
Thank God.
So, but it was a look. Was it baking? Yeah. Was it a quality episode? Yes, it was. It was a really good episode. The quality of their work was amazing. Those waffles looked incredible.
I really hope, though, that Claudia went to work after Marcus is gone, because they're going to need grief processing. We all are. Where's Claude's? She should be on the Twitter.
The dancing was wonderful. And again,
wasn't that that's a moment.
I think, Mark, for me, forget the dancing, the moment that sums up Marcus beautifully for me was his attitude look that he gave Matt Moran after Matt Moran commented on how wonderful the vanilla was, and Marcus had told you.
Bitch, please.
Over here. So
it's like he's in a black drag queen came out at that point with that face. It's just
sashay away. Yes. Sashay away. And with that, we will be back next week. We may be back before next Thursday with possibly one, maybe more than one. We'll see what happens. But
see what we can rustle up.
We'll see what we can rustle up. We'll see what we can whip up in the kitchen. So up until then, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still relaxed. And Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we will catch you all next week.
Namaste.